introductions are crucial.
Oh, 100%, yeah. So today we have a social media expert with years and years of experience within the media and dealing with public relations and has the most inspirational bio on LinkedIn. It's Mr. Marcus Nash. How are you, mate?
I'm very good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. I'm not too bad. How was your workout this morning?
It was really good, Kyle. Yeah, I like to get up early. I like to get myself up and in there, train nice and bright, and get myself motivated for the day that lies ahead. So, yeah, I like coming into work, having had a bit of food and having had a workout, and really ready to go.
Yeah. How would you say, what made you want to work out in the morning versus working out at the evening? What was the thought behind that?
For me, it's more of a case that I like to get up, and it's more of a get up, make your bed, have a light breakfast, go work out, and go and get, like, I'll go and buy my lunch in the morning, so that I've kind of, like, I'm now prepared right up to leaving work, if that makes sense, in terms of food, workouts done. The minute I leave work, I can literally put my feet up and watch the Champions League game tonight. So it's that sort of mindset of not having too much in my way. If the phone goes or if something comes up, I don't need to go, I need to go to the gym later. So it's done, and nobody's going to ask me to do it at 6 a.m. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I'd be very surprised if somebody was like, "Yeah, we need you to come into work at that time." You're like, "But I don't start for hours and hours and hours." You know what I mean?
I'd be so surprised if the general public are up reading anything at that time. But hey.
Oh, 100%. So like I do have questions that I was going to ask, and I have like things I was going to ask, but like there was stuff we had a chat before the actual podcast started about, things you appeared on and things like that. So you were on telly pretty much at the age of 5 or 6, did you say?
I was on stage, so I started on stage at the age of 5 in the King's Theatre, in Oliver Twist. And I think see, if I'm being honest, I was a really confident, hyperactive young boy, and my mum just put me into drama groups. And I remember going into a group called the Apollo Players, and they'd done a production of Oliver Twist, and I was a small part in Fagin's gang, and I think I was only 5 in the King's Theatre. And it sort of just went from there to, I got a part in Disney's first ever tour of Beauty and the Beast, and I was Chip the Teacup. So that was huge, because I think I was only about 8, working for Disney, and it was fantastic. That was in Edinburgh Playhouse. And then that led on to like The King and I was a big part in that back in the Kings. And it was really just between the age of 5 to about 11, on and off big stage productions. And then I started to get into short films. Then I get picked up by Half Moon Investigations, which is a CBBC kids drama. And that led on to River City, Erskine adverts, a part in the film Neds. And it just over the course of my teenage years, kept getting little parts here and there, speaking parts and acting films, TV shows, adverts, you name it. And I think that kind of continued right up to I was about 21, 22. And I finished off with an Erskine advert for the Veterans Charity. And it's still on television every couple of months. And it's still on things like Rangers TV as well, which is obviously crazy, as I work for Hamilton, but I'm not in control of where that goes. So, but no, it's I've got an interesting past that I don't open up too much about, but there you go.
You certainly do, yeah. So what made you want to move from being in kind of like the acting role and kind of go the other way and kind of necessarily talking about what happens, like being in communications and stuff for Hamilton Academical? What made you want to move, from one kind of side of it to the other?
I think it goes back to probably when I was in CBBC's Half Moon, and I was like, because I was on the set every day, I was a big part in that. I was in 8 episodes, so I ended up really envying what the guys in the sound do, what these camera guys are doing, how the walkie-talkies that these production managers are running about with, and just the behind the scenes to me looked interesting, because I was in front of the camera performing a script and there was like 20 people behind the camera. So it's like, whoa, there's more happening over there. And I like to be hands-on, and being an actor can be a lonely job. If you've seen Friends, the whole Joey Tribbiani lifestyle, I've been on it. I've done this in an SFA podcast and I said the same thing. It's a true lifestyle. You are really literally waiting by that phone to ring. Did I get the part? When's the next edition? And then you get a part and you get good money. Say you get £3,000 for an advert. It takes you 2 days filming, but you don't get another job for 3 months. So if you put that equivalent to national minimum wage or normal wage, it's just the same. There's nothing really there. So as I got older, I started to think about my future and a backup plan, as my parents kept saying, get a backup plan, get a backup plan. Got involved in media, worked in a hotel for a while, doing like operation management, bit of marketing for them, and then got the real feel to it. And then I came into Hamilton 3 years ago, and they never had a media department. So I was sort of pitching myself as well as pitching a media department to them. And luckily they believed in me. And, you know, I'd like to say we're, in terms of the media industry, we're probably one of the most respected media teams in the league, because we have came from absolutely nothing 3 years ago to getting a couple of million views on all our social media videos. We've launched Accies TV now. Who would have thought? And yeah, it's we're well respected within journalists and broadcasters in this industry.
Yeah, you certainly are. Yeah. One thing I am curious about though is what made you want to get involved with Hamilton Football Club?
That's quite a unique story, actually. So I was working for a company called Premier Suites, which is a service departments company. That's the place I was referring to when I says I was the operations manager and dealing with all the marketing. And the stadium manager here, Jimmy Thompson, he had stayed for a night, basically, and I got to know him. He's like, oh, I'm the stadium manager at Hamilton. And I got speaking to him, and he really was a likable guy, first and foremost, you know. And he started telling me about the charity projects that Hamilton do, the community side of the club, all the stuff that they do with the community trust and the children's charity Blameless. And so we were like, we'll give you a free penthouse stay to auction off, a big do, which is called the Scott Ball that Hamilton did every year pre-COVID. And that was that. And then initially I'd contacted him back for our thing that we were raising for the Glasgow Royal Children's Hospital. And I says, can I get a signed ball? Yeah, no problem. And then it exchanged into visiting games, getting hospitality. And I sort of became friends with this guy. And one day I was honestly at wit's end, really depressed at one point a few years ago. And I was just in a situation where I was like, do I want to continue this job? I miss the acting. How can I combine these two? How can I combine corporate and enjoying working within, you know, an art? And I messaged Jimmy. He brought me in. He introduced me to the chief exec here, Colin McGowan, and the rest is really history, you know. I didn't walk into a big paying job, if I'm being honest, and Hamilton will testify to that. I came in and I worked a couple of months for free, just to prove myself. So I really left a £20,000 a year job, no guarantees. I took a massive risk, and I worked for 3 months for basically nothing, expenses. And then Hamilton were like, right, stuff's happening here, let's get him on some sort of wage. And then it's just built up over the years now, and obviously here I am. So
yeah, I always tell people that when it comes to getting a job that you really want or you're aiming to be, it's not, you shouldn't necessarily look at like the paycheck that, you know, anyone else is earning or what the job is. You kind of need to like actually love what you do to then eventually get the big paycheck. So you'd like, you know, yourself, you do actually need to work for free. And obviously that guy actually had seen it in you that you obviously were willing to work hard and build something, and you obviously have built something, so they started, you know, obviously paying you better and things like that.
Yeah, the thing, yeah, that's it. I sort of took myself back to school, you know. It sometimes doesn't matter what you've got in your education certificates. People want to see your worth face on, and you know, and really see the trust in you. And it, you know, I think it shows you how kind of far we've went from just doing a couple of videos to players to really being the manager's right-hand man when it comes to his PR. And any time that Brian speaks to the press, or any time that Brian's, you know, needing anything in terms of communications, I'm there. Same as the players, and same as, doesn't matter if it's the academy here, or if it's the chairman or the chief exec, or the girls at the front needing something. We're all one team, so you need to muck up and get on with it.
Yeah, it's like having a family away from your family type of thing, especially with social media, considering, well, as you'll know yourself, you can say something, and before, like if you said anything online, before you know it, you know, millions of people seen it, and then Hamilton could come back at you and be like, why did you say that? You know what I mean? Like, what did you do? And do you think that plays a lot when it comes to getting jobs as well? Like, what you say on social media has to necessarily be at like a level, like kind of like a level, you shouldn't really go above it. I'm talking about like, you know, going on about how you go drinking every weekend and all this sort of stuff. That shouldn't necessarily be online. It should be kept like, you know, offline type thing.
Yeah, I was quite lucky. I didn't really showcase too much of my personal life in social media. It's always, I always like, oh, I'm here, or here's a photo of my dog, or something like that. It was never a case of I'm out of the weekend, and I've never ever been that guy. It was out every weekend anyway, to be honest. But yeah, you're spot on. And obviously in this day and age now, where social media is basically the number one topic in the news, especially right now after that social media boycott that we've all just taken part in. I've just taken part in, the club's taken part in, but I've only been on social media this morning, really posting anything. And you're right, and it goes, goes a long way. Social media, it's one of the best things that's ever been invented, but I must say, it's probably one of the worst as well. And I do think that the social media companies need to do so much more in fixing that, because people are sitting there right now struggling with reading certain things online. It doesn't matter if you're a player, it doesn't matter if you're a staff member. I think everybody thinks that we're all invincible and we earn 150 grand a year. We don't. Words can be really hurtful. I've had it off of home and away supporters, but my hair, about, I think it's no secret that everybody in football supports a team. I grew up a Rangers and a Liverpool fan, and the Hamilton fans know that. But sometimes people can't really accept that. But I mean, when you work for a club, and I point to that badge because I love this club, you really, really, really fall in love with the family, the feel, how much it means. And I think for the rest of my life, I'll always want Hamilton to play in the top flight, and I'll always be a fan of some sort, no matter what.
Yeah, exactly. As you said for me here as well, I'm actually natural red hair, but I shaved my head off about 2 years ago during just before the first lockdown, and I've kind of just kept it short ever since because, to be honest, I don't know, I just decided to be honest with you. But something that's interesting you said there about how it's Hamilton's like a family and stuff like that. Was it like that as soon as you started? Was everybody like a family, or did it take them a while to get to know you and stuff like that? If that makes sense.
I think anywhere you go, it takes a while to build trust with certain people. And maybe that's just their way of training you as well and teaching you the morals of the football club. So no, I wouldn't say that I walked in and I was able to just walk about and be respected and do what I wish. No, absolutely not. I had to earn that respect. I had to show that trust. I had to get to know certain people and give them their places. You need to always be cautious in this industry. People have been here for 20, 30 years. And although they may do a different job now, you're maybe doing their job that they once did, or they maybe did a little bit of the media before there was a media department, and anything really. So not in this club, so in any club in football, it's all about trust and respect, and with that comes loyalty. And once you build that, that family feels second to none. But I got that vibe straight away that it was a good club to work for. But everybody, just like anywhere, they make you work for that.
Yeah. Something I was really interested in as well is that obviously you've got not only got the players and the staff and stuff like that, but you've got a huge fan base, as necessarily the club and everybody like that. Would you necessarily say sometimes you need to watch what you say because they might react a certain way, not just Hamilton itself, like the football club might react, or does that not? Do you just kind of have to go day by day by that type of thing?
You need to watch what you say. Of course, if we're in a bad mood, I can't bring it into work because, what if I'm taking a plate of the press and he's like, oh, Marcus, how are you today? Oh, I'm absolutely rubbish and this is happening and he's this and he's that. Then I'm putting that into their head. So when they're gonna, they're always going to lean on us for a positive bounce. So no, I'm the type of guy. It's, oh, how you doing? How's your day? What'd you do at the weekend? And that's just that. It's all about positives, keeping yourself to yourself and not really throwing too much onto other people. Obviously we all have bad days, but I think we've got, especially in my position, and Nicholas that works with me and the other guys that work with me, we need to really be careful.
I have to respect that as well. The fact how you don't necessarily you kind of not you'd leave it at the door, but you kind of have to sometimes, and then because other people, like you said, rely on you to be this positive influence and help them. So you don't want to give them a negative face side of things. You want to just keep that to the door, and then once you're at work, it's kind of like I'm here to help you type thing.
That's it. Yeah, we're all one family, and that's it. You need to, any club you go with, players, staff, medical staff, you need to all be kind of united as one and bounce off each other. If you don't, it doesn't really work. And I think that's how football clubs and sport teams and industries like that work. In fact, any team, not just sport, anywhere I've worked in my past, from one of my first jobs at Carphone Warehouse to working with Premier Suites to any acting job, the most important thing to getting the best out of your product or the best out of your team is to mingle together as one and not have that egotistical attitude that you're better than somebody, no matter what. Because when there's, pardon the pun, when there's one rat in the pack, you're screwed. You're screwed.
Yeah. A surprise question. I think that's something that I've actually asked people before. What would you say is your biggest flaw?
My biggest flaw? Wow.
Yeah, it's one of those questions that people are like, oh, did you really ask that? But it's something I think if you can identify your biggest flaw, it's actually quite good because then you can work to overcome it every day type thing.
Absolutely. I think my biggest flaw is probably being, and I know this sounds silly,
well,
too passionate.
All
being
right,
too passionate. Caring, not so much caring too much, but sometimes I find it hard to take a back step and not worry. If I know, for example, last week, Brian, our manager was up for a disciplinary thing about something that he said in the press, so I was worrying about that. It's not something I talk to people in here about. I was worrying, how are we going to get through this tomorrow? What's the outcome going to be? We need our head coach. We need him in the dugout. How many games is he going to get banned? And I'm sitting worrying about that. Of course, he's probably worrying about that in his own bed as well. But yeah, just things like that. And it's not that I don't want to not care too much. I think sometimes switching off is crucial. And yeah, I've done a lot better with that lately. Certainly this year, as I said to you before, that I've started this year. I changed my diet and I really intensed my gym performance and getting up earlier and stuff like that. And that's helped massively because, if I'm being honest, once I get home at like 4 or 5 o'clock, I usually have dinner and end up falling asleep, and that's me. My day's over. So, it's probably, I would like to learn to let go a little bit, but then maybe that's the key to the good things that we've done here.
Thing is though, exactly like you said, and obviously you're with being in acting and that you've always had to like kind of be passionate, because if you're not passionate about acting, you won't be that good, to be perfectly honest with you. And then obviously now you're in another kind of spotlight position, so technically you could say you're still in acting type thing. But you obviously that you work with a lot of kids and stuff like that, the academical side of things. What would you say is like something you tell them to like keep them kind of positive and going every day, like, or when you see them in that?
I think the kids, when I'm in the academy nights, or if I'm doing anything with like the community football and that, I'm quite lucky because the kids know me because I present Accies TV. So anytime they're watching an Accies game, it's me every game. So they see that. So obviously, and because of my head as well, I stand out like a sore thumb. So as soon as I walk in, they usually know who you are. And I always get that, how you doing? Because I'm not one of the guys that kind of blends in. I'm always like, hi, how are you? What you doing today? How was your weekend? What you up to? And I think that comes from the academy director, George Cairns, to be honest, because he is such a loud, big personality guy. It's in this club every day. He's in all day, all night. Honestly, we all do a lot of hours, but I don't want to know how many George has done over these full 16 years or whatever he's been at Hamilton, but his energy and his drive and his passion for the academy, and it's academy. When you come in the door here, it's football. There's the first team. There's your manager. There's your players. But here's our academy. So it's split right down the middle. So it's not like a case of some clubs where it's like 90% first team and 10% academy. No chance. It's probably here 33% first team, 33% academy, and 33% community trust and blameless charities.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so like, obviously we'll probably have people watching this that want to be in positions like yourself, want to work with a club they truly love, and then at a job they actually, wake up every morning, every day, and they're like, wow, I want to aim towards that job and I want to be able to, get that job. And obviously they'll hear your story as well. So what would you say, what kind of things people need to go about when it comes to getting their dream job? Would you say there's like a certain steps you need to take, or, what's your personal opinion on that?
My personal opinion is learn every part of the job. Don't be good at just editing. Don't be good at just interviewing. Don't be good at writing a match report or an interview up. Don't be just good at doing a podcast. Don't be good at communications. Be good at all of it. Learn a wee bit of everything. You don't need to be an expert in an individual field. Go out and learn everything, so that if my camera guy doesn't turn up, or if Nicholas isn't, my assistant isn't here to do stuff, I can do it all. I can literally set the camera up, interview the manager, take the memory card out, edit it, publish it in social media. So I know bigger clubs maybe have the budgets to have a guy that's just a videographer and to have a graphic guy, but for us, we don't. So I think what this taught me here is to not make yourself indispensable, because I don't think that exists. I think anybody's replaceable in life if you become complacent. But certainly learn every little aspect of your field, and you don't need to know everything 100%. Just know a little bit of everything and be willing to do everything, so that people see a value in you.
So it's like diversifying your skills type thing. Yeah, that's what I had to come across with obviously creating this podcast. And the other thing, I was like, do I just upload it on that channel and then it gets disappeared and stuff? But I was like, no, but if I diversify and build a portfolio of something else, it, can help and inspire and motivate people, especially speaking to people like yourself, to be honest with you.
No, that's it. You need to stay on top of everything. Honestly, it doesn't get easier. It really doesn't get easier. If you start to take your foot off the pedal, you'll slow down.
What would you say keeps you motivated every day? Because I know you hear people saying about, some people say it's my family, and then I actually got asked this yesterday, and I said it's being able to wake up every morning, because some people don't. So like for me personally, that's a privilege. But what would you personally say is your actual, like, this is, we'll say maybe a couple of things, because one thing's maybe hard to pinpoint. So maybe we'll say like 3 or 4 things that actually keeps you going like every single day.
Probably progression, seeing things grow, seeing myself grow, whether that's muscles in the gym, more views and videos, more subscribers to Accies TV, more people liking your content, anything that's kind of got a development path, and seeing things grow, and then seeing it dip, and then going, right, how do I fix that? Well, before I fix that, there's something wrong with me, so I'm going to fix myself. I'm going to think how I do that, and how can I change? How can I be more positive to get that growing again? What do we need to do different? What are other teams doing? So for me, it's probably the pathway of growing, whatever that is. Just seeing things develop. I love it. Nicholas, the young lad that works with me, he was in the City of Glasgow College, doing a journalism course, which I think was maybe just a HND course. We went in there last year. We got him in as an intern. The young kid's, I say young kid, I think he's 18, 19. He's been here since he's been here now about 18 months, Nicholas, or maybe just under 18 months. And he's now here 20 hours a week and doing his degree, getting paid, earning a job, and watching him grow, and watching him hopefully get my job, hopefully fight for my job. That inspires me. That really inspires me. And some people might think otherwise and think threatened and keep him down a pedal. But no, I really want him to push me, because he pushes me. And it's really good to see that me and the club gave him that chance, and he's taken it, and he's probably going to be in this industry for a long time, hopefully.
Yeah, that's the difference, because you speak to a lot of people and it's about being, oh, I'm jealous of this, but it's like, that's such a horrible thing. You have to be envious, because obviously he might be envious of you. I mean, like, because he'll look up to you and be like, look at where you started, and then considering, where you are now, he might be like, that probably does inspire him to like come up and work harder, and work harder at college and stuff like that. Definitely, I'd personally say.
Absolutely, yeah.
What would you say like is something you like really wanted to do as a kid? Take away acting, because obviously you wanted to be an actor, but take away acting, what else would you say you really wanted to be when you were a kid? Like,
I wanted to be a firefighter. That was my number one job. Yeah.
Wow.
I was obsessed with it growing up. Before the acting, before anything, it was always firefighter. And I think that was partly, I went to a school in the West End called Kelvin Hall Primary, and just at the bottom of our playground, there was bushes and a wall, but there was a gap in the fence, maybe about 5 feet. And it was a 20-foot drop, and it was actually into the back court of the York Hill fire station. So every day I seen them running into the engines, and I heard the alarms, and I just became obsessed, and then I was watching London's Burning on Sunday nights after Casualty, and I always wanted to be a firefighter. However, that never then came with me into my teenage years. So I've never applied, I've never tried out. I'm still envious of them, I think every time, because that's a childhood thing, every time I see a fire engine and that, I'm always kind of, I always am kind of looking at it. So big up the Scottish Fire and Rescue. I've got a lot of respect for them.
100%. Yeah, the gym I train at, we have a look because it's in Glenoffice, and it's near. It's actually near the fire station. But I know a lot of guys that work in Perth fire station and all that. And where's the one? It's in Uckdamukty. They actually train at our gym, and they're huge guys. But like they're I mean, you could go and have a conversation with them, and they're probably the nicest people ever. But there has been times where they've literally dropped weights and run out, and I'm like, before I knew they're firefighter, I was like, what on earth are they doing? And then the guy I trained with was like, yeah, they're firefighters, by the way. And I was like, oh, right, okay, so you go and put their weights back and stuff, because you're like, they can save your life one day,
Why they left their dumbbells on the floor?
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. Who did you look up to as a kid every day? We'll start with non-celebrity wise, and then we'll say celebrity wise. Who would you look up to personally as a kid every day?
Oh, number one's my mum. Number one.
I'm the exact same.
Just a strong woman. She never let a setback affect me and my sister, no matter what. She was always wanting the best for us, even if it meant she had nothing. My mum and dad, my dad had sort of like small gambling issues years ago, and I'm very, very delighted that he's overcame that and what a man he is today. But he had some gambling issues years ago, and then the divorce, and mum's money was running low, and she never once thought about pulling me out of drama school. She worked hard to pay for my private drama lessons, and for that I've always got to be thankful for her. So I guess that's probably another thing, going back to what you say, what motivates you. Probably that. I don't want to let her down, and she sees me in this industry, and she feels as if it's a big part of her, because what she's pushed me to be something different and creative, and that's testimony to my mum. So she's the number one there before we go into any celebrities.
That's it makes a lot of sense now when you say that, because obviously without her pushing you every single day, you might have, pardon me saying, but you might have slacked off a little bit and then be like, oh, you know what, I've not got like that person pushing me towards that, I'm going to go to something else. But then it might not have, well, it definitely wouldn't have took you into the path you went into and being on all these programs, because not anybody can just appear on these programs. You need to actually be good and have the craft and stuff like that.
Yeah. I guess so. I guess you need to want it. You need to have a little bit of a talent. But I do think that if anybody does want to then get into acting, you certainly can. Gritty realism sometimes can get you picked up. The film Neds. Most of the supporting actors in Neds, i.e., not the main characters, were all boys off the street, and that was Peter Mullen's way of doing it, because he wanted gritty realism. So the boy who played the main character in the film Neds genuinely had absolutely no acting experience prior to that. And there was a couple of other main characters the exact same, probably at least 5 to 10 main roles. Some of them have went on to continue the acting career, some haven't. But so obviously having a craft and stuff's good, but I wouldn't rule out raw talent as well.
Yeah, like some people say, I tell a lot of people that want to get into singing and music and that, and a lot of people actually say that, oh, you need to have a talent. But in the other sense of it, I always say, yeah, but you can be taught how to do that, as long as you work every single day at it. You can't just wake up one day and be like, I want to be as big as, for example, Jay-Z or a girl or Beyonce. You can't do that. You need to start at day one and then work your way up and slowly progress.
Yeah, you've got to. I think you've also got to keep your back against the wall at all times. Keep your back against the wall. Stick to your goal, and really have a positive mindset that you can and you will do better. And it's like, the best way to describe this is like going to the gym, right? And I know it keeps coming back to gym talk.
No, it's
quite easy to grow muscles in your arms, your shoulders, and your chest, but it's not quite easy to lose the fat in your stomach and get abs. Right? Yeah. Everybody wants a six-pack, but not everybody gets a six-pack because they give up with the process, and they give up trying to get it, because it's the hardest thing to get.
100%.
But over time, it starts to develop, and then you see the little, 2 squares in your stomach, and that motivates you to try and get 4 and then try and get 6. So I think the point that I'm trying to stress here is the road can be as long as it's going to be, but if you give up halfway, you won't get the goal. So you need to really, just keep your foot on the pedal, no matter what, no matter how tired you are. Keep your foot on the pedal, keep growing, keep working hard, and you'll get there one day, whatever your dream is, whether that's playing for Scotland as a football player, or being the head of communications for Hibs, for example, or Hearts, or anybody, that doesn't really matter. If you get a goal, you'll get there, but don't think you're going to wake up tomorrow and it's going to be there, because it's not.
Yeah, I always say to people, it's like the horse races. The horse have these blinkers on so they can't see anybody. So you kind of need to have blinkers on when you're driven and passionate, and not necessarily not care about, mates and drinking and that, but you kind of have to put that to the side if you want to have the jobs that people dream of having, because most people don't necessarily care about, tons of girls drinking or nothing like that. They care about getting a job, getting their dream job, their passion, and then anything else that just kind of comes along with it. But they still have to have it. It's like the whole Wizard of Oz thing with the yellow brick road. It's like having that yellow brick road that you kind of need to stick on that road to be able to lead to the one place. You know what I mean?
Of course, have fun, but don't have too much fun. You don't want to also work too much. You don't want to work all your life away and then it's all about work, and then you've missed all the good things around you as well. So having a good balance is crucial. It is crucial to rewarding yourself. But yeah, as you said, you can't be going out drinking every single weekend and still be expecting to be living a hard-working lifestyle and just getting by. If you constantly want to be better than what you were before, then you need to live in a mindset of doing that.
Yeah, you need to kind of look at it in as a progressive lifestyle. Sorry, it's like, even though every step you take needs to be that one step that makes you go further. You don't want to do something, completely, I can't think of anything, but completely ridiculous and be like, oh wow, that's knocked me one down. I've lost everything type thing. You want to keep kind of making sure it's kind of living by rules, but not necessarily by the normal rules, by your own set of rules that you make up every day to kind of be better and things like that.
Yeah, that's it. You live in your own wee bubble. So obviously you kind of convince yourself what's right and what's wrong, and then you start to find a level ground of what actually is right and what's wrong, and then stick to it.
Yeah. So so who did you look, minus obviously your mum, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Mind who did you look up to celebrity wise? We'll say non-sing, well, because some people have their kind of acting, and then some people have their kind of singing wise. We'll do but who we'll say who do you have that wasn't a singer that you look up to as a kid?
John Cena.
Really?
Absolutely. No matter what. John Cena, because I seen him as this larger than life character. I grew up watching WWE. I was a massive fan of John Cena. I loved his respect for the military. I loved the fact that he was this big guy, but he just was anything but angry. He was anything but negative. He was always the baby face. He was always the happy guy. Then you look into John Cena, and I actually think he's granted more make-a-wishes to dying children than any other person on this planet.
He's number one, yeah. Number one at his charity.
Unbelievable. The man is, he's just such a motivational person. Now he's in acting and he's doing really well. And yeah, I met John Cena twice. I've met him. But the first time I met him, I froze. I really did froze. Just because I was so taken aback at how much I really admired this guy. And still to this day, he's continuing to be such that jolly, humble guy and doing what he does. So yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people probably look up to John Cena.
Yeah, and he has his, I don't know what his gym's called, but I know he has a gym in his kind of compound type thing, or one of them. And I know that for a fact that if you're doing really well in social media type thing, lifting wise, obviously, and you live near him, he'll necessarily be like, hey, do you want to come to my gym? Come and lift with me, or he'll invite people in, and obviously that's incredible. But something else that's interesting now, you said you met him twice. Is it true what people say, you shouldn't meet your idols, or would you say that you should meet your idols?
Nah, I wasn't upset. John Cena had all the time in the day to give a young guy a photo and an autograph, and I even had obviously because he's big for the US Marines and the US military. So when he was over here, I gave him a Help for Heroes armband, and he was, football? What's this? And you know, he was really, really interested. He's brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant with me, and he's brilliant with every kid that you see. So I can't really say that. I don't think I've had any bad experiences meeting anybody who's quite well known. To be honest, I've always thought people have been very humble for where they are.
Yeah.
And yeah, some people have bad days, so there's no point in looking too much into that.
Yeah, I'd say that you know, saying that explains a lot about yourself, especially when we first spoke in that you were like, yeah, sure, I'll help you in that, and it made me think, you know, like I said to you, I was like he doesn't need to help me, but he's chose to help me, so that's maybe like somebody, as you said, somebody's helped you in your past, you know, that guy, and then obviously you met John Cena and he was nice, so people are spending time with you, so you want to like give back, which will make me personally give back to anybody like, you know, wants to help, you know what I mean?
It's a great mindset to be in, absolutely.
Oh, 100%. So where do you see yourself in 5 years then? One of those interview job questions. Or where would you
Um,
like to see yourself? Well, that's a better one.
I'd still like to be involved in football. I absolutely love football and football and or sport, because anything can happen. I think as well that the humbleness and the fact that nothing's guaranteed in my job. If Hamilton get relegated this season and we go down, there's a big chance I might not be here next season. So I think it's just a case of being humble about the job that you're in. But for me, yeah, I'd love to be in the same industry, sticking within football. Scotland, I'm not sure. Probably down south. I'm a big Liverpool fan, so you never know. But
Wow, that'd be amazing seeing you on Liverpool TV, or it's just seeing you anywhere and be like, I actually spoke to him years ago when he worked at Hamilton. This is crazy.
no, anywhere that's still involved in this industry, and helping people, and again, developing things and progressing things, and still doing what I'm doing. I don't see myself changing career now, to be honest. I really do love it.
Good, good. I'm glad. I'm glad. It's good to hear that from somebody that, you know, has had all these after acting, had all these wee jobs, and then
Yeah.
found kind of where he exploded into, and then, you know, is, you know, obviously you do a great job, so it's worth, like, it's definitely, I would personally say it's definitely worth sticking at something, especially considering you wake up every day being like, you know, I really like what I do, so why would I want to like move industry or anything like that?
No, that's it. That's it. You know, I can have, there's great days in here and there's horrendous days, but once you go to sleep and you wake up the next day, it's, you put the uniform on again. You know, you're representing the club, you're representing the brand that you work for, and there's no more personal feelings there. You get yourself into a mode of what's best for the club, what's best for the brand, and I think that motivates you to do better and have a good day every day.
Yeah, exactly. Do you keep, see when you're out and about, like you know, anywhere really, do you always keep in mind that you kind of are representing Hamilton at kind of like any, not necessarily everything you do, but like a lot of, like when you're out in the public eye type thing, you know, obviously, you know, if you go to bars or if you go to restaurants anywhere, do you always kind of keep in mind that people will know me from Hamilton, so I have to always keep like a certain level of respect all the time, do you think?
Yeah, obviously Hamilton being a smaller club and me not actually being a player, yeah, I'm not completely in the spotlight. But
Yeah.
that being said, Scottish football is such a small industry. Like, and what I mean is, even the fans, everybody knows everybody. You just need to take Jimmy Bell from Rangers, the kit man. He's such a famous figure that
Yes.
everybody knows who he is, but he's just a kit man. Now, I do that because, listen, he's not just a kit man. These people are the heart and blood of football clubs. But yeah, you've got to be cautious because people do know you. As I said earlier, my hair's ginger. You know that yourself, obviously. So I stand out. So yeah, you've got to always be cautious that somebody's watching you. I can't put certain things on Instagram and somebody screenshots that. And so yeah, keep your cards close to your chest. Be careful and be cautious about the brand that you work for because you're representing them. So it doesn't matter if you work for, you know, it doesn't matter if you work for Hamilton. It doesn't matter if you work for Greg's. It doesn't matter who you work for. At the end of the day, you should always be cautious that you can damage your brand's reputation if you go above and be, you know, above the mark, really. So it's just being a bit sensible. But yeah, I don't do anything that can jeopardize my career because, as you see with some people in the past, if you do one thing and it's all over the papers, you're finished.
Yeah, there's been a lot in that. I don't necessarily want to touch on that, but there was a lot like to involve the footballer, you know, unfortunately. But you know,
Yeah.
have you actually done anything that, or no? Because you said more than likely, have you actually said anything where you're like, I shouldn't have said that, or is there more of like you kind of judge you kind of look at everything every day and be like, I kind of like, what I said is what I said, so it's nothing bad? Or is there any been a time you're like, whoops, I shouldn't have said that type thing? Whether that be on social media or in person.
Yeah, well, I think the number one thing would be when I first came into the club, I was always very close to the fans and stuff, and I was always warned, look, that's pretty dangerous. Don't get too in, because if you get too in, something will happen, and they'll eat you alive, as they say. I still don't believe that to this day. I've but one or two times on social media to trolls people that you don't know who their identity is, or you don't know what point they're getting at, or you just bite to them, and no matter what. Somebody taught me a massive lesson. I deleted Twitter. I had a massive setback with all that. I had to come off Twitter because of some stuff, and it wasn't that I'd done anything too wrong, but I think what most thing that I took for it, and back to the academy director here that I tell you, the guy that's larger than life character, and he says, and it's such an interesting one, and I'm sure you and anybody watching this will think this, what somebody thinks of you doesn't matter. It's none of your business. And I thought about that, and I was like, wow, he's right. It's none of my business. Now, yeah, it's hurtful reading some things on social media because, nobody sees it. You're in here 50 hours a week and you're taking the laptop home and, really you've committed your life to the club. But that's not their fault. So if they've got an opinion of you, they're going to say it. Now, if it's harsh and if it's abusive, fine, report the tweet or whatever. But I think biting back's not the answer. And I'm glad I learned that because it made me a better person, and it took me away, and I've took that back seat, and I focused more on my job, and I focused more on what's best for the club. So yeah, there has been one or two times where I butt back. I've never ever said anything offensive, but it was just the point in biting back. It's just, there's no point. There really isn't any point. And I think that's why these people do it. They just want a reaction. So you're giving into them, and I fell into that trap.
Yeah. It's like the whole thing I preach, kind of like if somebody has a problem with you, that's them that's got the problem with you. You've probably never even thought of them in your life, but they're the ones that actually have the problem. So as long as you don't have a problem with them, there's nothing for you to worry about. But obviously that is a lot easier said than done for not just some people, but for everybody. So everybody has that one or two things that like you shouldn't have really said that, and then they click and you're like, oh, I shouldn't have done that, and all this sort of stuff.
You do, absolutely.
But a completely different question, completely off topic. Would you diet juice or fizzy juice or full sugar juice? Sorry.
If you asked me right up to 2021, I'd say full sugar because the whole diet thing's absolutely disgusting and tastes minging. The only thing that I drink at all that is diet or whatever is Red Bull. I probably have one of these every 2 days. It's a sugar-free one. It's got no fat, no carbs, no sugar. So it's obviously got sweeteners.
Yeah.
But that's it. I don't drink like Coke or Iron Brew or anything like that. It's really just, if I'm getting a can of Red Bull or water. I'm really bad in coffee. So I wouldn't have decaf coffee if you compared it to that. But I would say that I think diet's a little bit better overall in the macros. However, some studies say that sweeteners aren't as good for you. So it just depends. I think the whole answer is too much of anything can make you sick.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's when it comes to too much sugar. They say like sugar is 10 times more addictive than a certain thing. We'll leave that at that. But the thing is with sugar is that it's because it breaks for me, for example, it break out of my skin. It does all this sort of stuff, so I can't actually have sugar. But sweetener, it still kind of does the same thing, but like you kind of feel, because a lot of people don't know that sweetener actually has a lot of antidepressants in it. So like when you have things like that, it's like aspartame and all this sort of stuff. So when you do drink it, you actually do feel, when you drink diet juice, you feel kind of like you got the energy, but you feel like relaxed at the same time. Whereas if you drink like full sugar Red Bull, you'll know yourself that it literally like blows your mind. You know what I mean? It's like adrenaline rush type thing. It's crazy.
Yeah, I know they do taste better. I think that's fact that anything with real sugar in it does taste better. But you can get your sugar hits from natural sources and fruit.
Yeah. Do you eat a lot of fruit yourself, or?
I do, yeah, I do. Obviously, I try not to have too much because obviously too much carbs and stuff in certain fruits. But yeah, I have pineapple every day. Some raspberries, I'll change it up as well. Not too much, but I do have fruit every day in my diet. Yeah.
Yeah, I do want to get into that is a little bit. Was what does your fitness regime look like from like a Monday to how often do you train at the gym? Is it just
6 days. I
6 days?
train for it. Yeah. So everybody's got right and wrong. I train Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
That's
I
same
always
with
take
me.
a Sunday off.
Mm,
The way I do it is my Monday and my Tuesdays full body days. So I'll do like 2 chest exercises, 2 triceps, 2 biceps, 2 back, 2 legs, 2 core, 2 chest or whatever if I've not already said that. And then the next day I'll go on and do 2 completely different chest exercises. So if I've done press and flies, today I'll do incline and decline. Then on the Wednesday I do strictly cardio and core. So I don't lift any weights at all on the Wednesday. I don't even pick up a single dumbbell. On the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, that's when I start the concentrated exercises like your bis and tris, your chest and tris, bis and back, and probably legs and core.
Yeah, the classic gym bro workout type thing.
Yeah, but I don't do that every day. I like to do that Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And yeah, take the Sunday off. As I said, I'll have a cheat meal on a Sunday, whether I'm taking my girlfriend out for a meal, or we'll make. She likes to bake a lot, so sometimes she'll make like a batch of brownies, and I'll end up scanning them. But like all through the rest of the day, I'll be healthy.
Oh, that's a girlfriend you need to brownies. Oh man.
To be fair, she's a personal trainer, so that keeps me going.
Oh yeah,
Obviously,
100%.
we bounce off each other. So I'd probably say I've got it a little bit easier in terms of diet because we can't really get complacent because of both of our jobs.
Yeah, you kind of need to be like not in like incredible shape, but you could need to do as working for a football team. You kind of need to be in good shape because most other people I say work for football teams do look really good. So you kind of want to look like them.
Exactly, and that was what motivated me to try and get back into the hardcore diet and stuff. You get sports science guys that are. We've got a physio who's just he's solid. He's a machine. So yeah, it motivates you.
Yeah, 100%. So just before I get onto your tattoos, I do want to ask you about them. Where's
Okay.
where's the first place you're going to travel to when we can officially travel?
I want to go to Rome. I really want to go to Rome. Yeah.
Rome.
That's been the topic of me and my girlfriend, where we want to go. Just Rome, Italian food, Italian culture, visiting. I've never ever been to Italy, so I just want to visit the Colosseum and look into the history of the Romans and all that.
Yeah, so do you go on holiday for that type of thing, like to look at, or do you go on holiday to get, to get drunk or anything like that, or is it more I want to look at travel and like adventurous kind of holidays?
Yeah, I can't sit on my backside. I'm probably borderline ADHD. I really cannot sit on my backside. I like to get up. I like to explore. I like to go places and feel a worth. I've been there. I've done this, and when somebody says, "Did you do this?" Nah, I never really done that. I just stayed in the house. That's not me. That's not me. So for me, it's all about going and visiting places and getting around locations and enjoying it. So yeah, I'm going there for the sights. I'm going there for the food. I'm going there for the culture.
That's awesome, yeah. But yeah, your tattoos, I see by the camera you do have quite a few.
Yeah, I'll show you what I can. So that was the dream, of course, Hollywood. So, and we've got so it starts off, obviously, you get the lights, the Hollywood sign, the mountains, the palm trees, down to the kind of boulevard, and then, yeah, ironically, a Hollywood star with said name on it.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to get a skull over that, and go with the whole Hollywood dead theme, even though it's not, I don't. Do I think I've gave up on acting? No, but do I think I'll make Hollywood? Probably not. So,
You never
but I still
know.
love the tattoo. So, and I love the theme. So, this arm is all meanings. It's all. So it starts with a rose, which obviously symbolises love, family, and the tiger means strength. That's my pug Leo's paw, his real paw, and that there says Nana with the little Banksy balloon.
Yeah.
So that's all meaningful. My nana passed a fair few years ago, and she was the only ginger in the family. So that's where my redhead comes from. So I'll never ever forget her. And then I've got a couple more Roman numerals, initials on my chest.
Yeah. Don't worry, I won't ask you to start stripping or nothing.
I won't do that, but there is some. But I love tattoos. I think now modern society tattoos are a lot more accepted. If they're not offensive, they're not, football nature and stuff like that. Yeah.
Especially if they're not all over your face and that, because a lot of people, I do know people that have them and they're like, oh, I didn't get the job, and it's probably because, because of the tattoos, and you have to say to them, oh, it's not, it's maybe because you're not done this or not done that, and in the back of their head, I think they know it's like, yeah, because I got tattoos that cover my face. No company unfortunately, not a lot of companies want that type of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been scared. I've never got any here. You see my bottom of my arms. So if I have to wear a jumper or something, I roll my sleeves up, you wouldn't actually see I've got tattoos. But no, I'll never ever have any like there. I don't think I'll ever get my forearms either. Chest and torso and that, yeah. But I think right down to my elbow is probably enough. But I can't hide them.
Yeah.
But then if anybody asks me about my tattoos, they're all got meanings behind them. And, what's the difference with having a tattoo to going and buying a Van Gogh piece and putting it up on your wall?
100%. Yeah.
If it's not offensive and if it's not football related or whatever and can cause controversy, I don't see why you shouldn't.
Yeah. I think
my dad's getting a tattoo today. My old man's getting a tattoo today. He's getting Angus Young, little AC/DC guitar player.
Yeah.
It's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll.
Wow,
So
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, a lot of people is that, and I've never quite understood this myself, is they get the whole like jagged lines that start, like, for instance, here, and it goes all the way across their body, and you're like, oh, what does that mean? I'm like, oh, it just looks cool, and it's like, shouldn't you necessarily, like yourself, get something that's like you look at it every day and you're like, I know what that means, and it keeps you going rather than just random tattoos that mean nothing. You know what I mean? It's just.
Some people just love ink.
Mm.
Some people just love it, love the sensation of it, love doing it, get addicted to it, enjoy different pieces of art. So yeah, I guess I don't know, whatever tickles everybody's fancy, really.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I appreciate your time. It means a lot. It means a lot to, like, for you to take time out of your day to, spend with somebody like myself and be my number one podcast, like my very first podcast, I should say.
I'm looking forward to it. Make sure you give us a shout when you're putting it out and when you want us to share it and stuff like that. And we'll make sure I'll push it out there as much as I can.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Is there anywhere, like, anything you would like to plug before we go? Anything you're doing, or you want to, like, people to come along to a certain thing? Is there anything you would like to say, or?
Just everybody to get on Kyle Mercer's podcast, follow it. Anybody that's watching, get on, give them your time. I think your questions, I think your preparation's been fantastic, and I hope that it grows massively. So that's what I'm plugging.
I appreciate that, man. It means a lot. It means a lot. Again, for someone like yourself, I guess it's because you're not from like the the kind of like famous life. So you don't, like, as in you weren't born into like loads and loads of money and stuff. So you know what it takes to, like, for example, myself, to build up such a great thing to be able to hit that level where you're like, people then come and you appear on certain things and that.
I'm still growing. I'm nowhere near where I want to be.
Oh, no.
So yeah, that's it. That's you're spot on. I'm humble, and you're humble, and that will stick with us forever if we live like that.
Yeah, you're very humble, to be honest. Very, very humble. It's nice. It's nice to see. But do you have any social media you like people to follow at all?
I just follow the Accies on Twitter, so the Accies FC. Keep up to date with the usual cockroaches of Scottish football that love to dig themselves out of a grave every single year, and everybody writes us off, but the passion and commitment of this club is second to none. And it's in our hands now. We were wrote off a few weeks ago. We've got 2 games left, and if we win them, we're out of it. We're 10th. So here's hoping Accies do the unthinkable once more.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you very much, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
No, brilliant, Kyle. Thank you.
Thank you.